in honor of the NBA season being right around the corner, about a month away, and honoring some of the new players in new places like Paul George in Philly, DeMar DeRozan in Sacramento, and many more, we are deciding to look back in NBA history and list off some of the greatest NBA free agency signings of all time. Jerry, let's start with you.
For sure. We'll kick it off with my personal favorite. I'm going to roll with Shaquille O'Neal signing to the Los Angeles Lakers in the 96-97 season. At the time, it was the richest contract in NBA history. He signed for like 7 years, 121 mil, which it's kind of funny to look back at now because that's like, yeah, you're an okay player if you get money like
That's
that.
pennies now. That's pennies to the dollar now.
For sure, but obviously money not being a factor here, Shaq was the most dominant player in NBA history to me. And that definitely swung the pendulum back in the right dynastic kind of run that the Lakers were used to after going from the Showtime Lakers and then having the ability to have the 1-2 punch in Kobe and Shaq. That definitely set the tone for how not only the league looked, but how rosters wanted to have an extra big body to foul Shaq instead of getting their guys fouled out. So Shaq would be my go-to for conversations like these.
Yeah, man. And, I'm going to stick in the Western Conference here. This one is a lot more recent than Shaq, but I have to mention Kevin Durant signing with the Golden State Warriors in 2016. Just talk about a game-changing, just league-breaking move. The Celtics were involved. Going back to the Thunder was on the table. He ultimately decided to join the team that went 73-9 the year before and lost 3-1 in the NBA Finals. And, in history, there have been super teams that have been put together where it's like, oh, this team is going to win. Like, there's no point in playing the regular season. Like, whatever, let's speed up to the finals. And then it's like, okay, as the season goes on, maybe they weren't as, we were hyping them up a little bit more than we should have. Not for this team. This was not the case. When KD went to Golden State, it was, okay, it's just, all right, this genuinely is the Golden State Warriors league. We know they're going to win. Let's get this thing over with. 2 finals MVPs, 2 championships in Golden State just completely changed everything about the league and what we know of it today. And whether it's good or bad, that's up to you. But it is important, and it is one of the greatest signings of all time. So
I think that woke up Adam Silver and also other owners around the league. Like, we need to incentivize guys to stay where they're at.
Sure. So the CBA, I mean, a lot of that, the money and contracts and stuff was changed, and they had to adjust a lot because of the signing. Absolutely.
Because it's not like, at least Shaq left an Orlando team that he could tell hit their ceiling. Mm-hmm. KD left an OKC team.
They blew a 3-1 lead.
They did.
To Golden State. They could have been in the finals.
Conversation for another day. I don't want to go down this championship.
What ifs? All hypotheticals. Jerry, right. What's your next one?
My next one, I think, is pretty underrated, especially for the young bucks that probably watch this channel, is Chauncey Billups going to the Detroit Pistons.
Ooh,
it's not something that's
slept on one.
Yeah, it's not something that's sexy. It's not something that we think about whenever we think about free agents going to a big place. Chauncey Billups probably won't be in the top 50 all-time list. He won't be. I know.
Sure.
But what he was able to do leaving Denver to go to Detroit to actually win a championship in 2004, after the Pistons were really just an afterthought throughout the rest of the 90s with Grant Hill's injury situation kind of going on. They entered the 2000s with really not very high expectations. They kind of put together this ragtag group, essentially, of Tayshaun Prince. They get Rip Hamilton, later get Rasheed Wallace in a trade. But Chauncey Billups is definitely the guy that put them over the top and obviously won Finals MVP. Hit a lot of big shots, which is why he got the nickname Big Shot Billups.
Big Shot Billups, baby.
It's just one thing that you can't replicate is a guy's impact in the clutch on both sides of the ball. Chauncey did just that, and guess what? He destroyed my Lakers in the 2004 NBA Finals.
Won a Finals MVP too. Cemented himself.
We talked about super teams not working earlier or potentially not working out. That was the Karl Malone, the Gary Payton Lakers added to Shaq and Kobe.
Example number one.
Yep.
Example number one there.
Shout
yeah, dude. Yeah, man. I mean, Chauncey Billups, Detroit is just one of those, like, it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's just one of those slept on signings. People look back in history, forget about it maybe, but it did lead to a championship and a Finals MVP. So,
hey, couple of Eastern Conference Finals appearances. I think another Finals appearance.
They were competitive for the next 5-6 years after that, for sure. Okay, so my last one that I am choosing here. Also, I didn't mention it earlier. I completely forgot, but I wanted to take a note and give a shout out. My honorable mention: Andre Iguodala signing with the Golden State Warriors, 4 championships, 1 Finals MVP. Very much so up for debate whether he deserved it or not, but it
He
is.
shut down LeBron.
But I just want to listen. K did, yeah, shut him down to 35, 40 points a game. Listen, no disrespect to Iguodala. Like Kevin Durant going to Golden State was massive in a lot of different ways. Again, changing the rules, changing whatever. Andre Iguodala going to Golden State, I think is, I mean, just as important as KD going to Golden State because just he was a part of all 4 championships. He left after the whole KD era, went to Miami, helped them make it to the finals,
Yep.
and then it comes home to Golden State. They go back and win a final. So it is very just like, just want to give him his flowers and just talk about how important he was to that dynasty. Without Iguodala, who knows if they actually win as much as they do. But this is my last one here. Number 2, I have LeBron James going home to Cleveland in 2014. This is just this entire story, this entire, him going back to Cleveland was about one thing, and it was about finishing the story. It was about bringing Cleveland a championship that he had promised them when he was drafted. Um, you know, Left on sour terms going to Miami in 2010. There was a lot of, you know,
I still don't blame
they wanted him to stay, right? And going to Miami, he became the villain of the league, joining Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, creating that super team where he won 2 championships. But he redeemed himself going home to Cleveland. It took them a year to do it, but they made it to the promised land and won the NBA Finals, being the Golden State Warriors 3-1. And it's just one of those things that I think that moment, that championship, truly just like cemented LeBron James's legacy of being an all-time great. Yes, like there was no doubt about it that he, up to that point, people considered him to be an all-time great. I'm not saying that, but being able to win a championship, he had Kyrie with him, he had Kevin Love, but to do it as, going home to Cleveland, fulfilling that promise, and winning, beating arguably the best team ever assembled, the 73-9 Warriors, and coming back from 3-1 like that did a whole lot to his legacy, and makes this signing go down as one of the greatest of all time. If he doesn't go back to Cleveland, Cleveland does not have a championship to their name to this day. So
I think that's probably even more so important for LeBron than the 2 Miami rings, right?
I 100% agree.
Probably why you didn't mention that, because you went back home. And I think in a lot of people's eyes, when he went to Miami, we were looking at LeBron like how we did KD after he went to Golden State. Well, that's a weak move. You built a super team. This is that, that's that, whatever. This kind of helped put him back in the good graces of NBA fans on NBA Twitter and social media. Like, I feel like most people started to fall back in love with LeBron again after he went back to Cleveland, regardless if he wanted a ring or not. I think he was back in the good graces of the NBA gods and whatnot.
He was no longer a villain after that championship. I think we were all LeBron fans after that series. And also, not for nothing, that signing allowed us to watch Kyrie and LeBron James do their thing for a few years, which was unfortunately cut short, which, a lot of people hope didn't, but it
Maturity
did.
issues.
Maturity issues, or whatever it may be, that was cut short. But yeah, those are the 4, I guess, for us, greatest free agency signings, acquisitions in NBA history. Put in the comments who you believe is the greatest NBA free agency signing of all time.
And let's see who your favorite free agency signing for this upcoming season is. So whether that be Clay in Dallas, whether that be PG in Philly, let us know in the comments.